So I'm going to talk about specific product work we've done in the last year and a half around building some customer service bots. I'll get into the details of my current job, but let me give you a little bit of background. So I spent about 20 years in product management and design, 2 startups, and then 2 stints at Microsoft. And I had the pleasure, or I guess my current bosses might think it was the limitation of, I never had to design in a world where I was designing for e-commerce experiences where I was trying to drive upsell or cross-sell. I've always worked on consumer experiences, many of which were free, or they were for paid products that the parts that I worked on were not the primary driver of purchasing the product. And I think it's that unique experience is what made me an attractive candidate for Expedia. And the reason I say that is I've only ever thought one particular way about designing products is how can we design the most simple and elegant experiences to allow a customer to accomplish their primary task. So I believe having that focus is not that I put my nose up to the e-commerce side of the house, but it's why I ended up in customer care. It's why I focus on helping someone who has a problem with their trip or managing their bookings, when the number one thing they want to do is to solve that problem as quickly as possible. So it's really about streamlining and keeping distractions away. There are plenty of people inside the hallways of Expedia and the conference as well that focus on optimization, test and learns, whether something's a link or not, something's above the fold, what are the best way to package products. So I fully respect that, and there's tons of people thinking about it. I think there aren't enough that are thinking about kind of the core, simple customer care experiences that you can do when you're really trying to put yourselves in the shoes of the traveler. So a little bit more about my role. So I head up product and design for customer care for all of Expedia's B2C brands, so hotels.com, Expedia.com, Orbitz, Cheap Tickets, Travelocity, et cetera, and their B2B brands. So we provide our inventory via API and templates to partners through the Expedia affiliate network and now the Expedia Global Partner Solutions. And my group provides both the agent experiences of taking the call directly or the email directly from the partners, travelers, or providing tier 2 escalation if they have their own customer service agents that are going to handle their own travelers' questions. So I have a unique experience there. I have a unique opportunity there, and I have this horizontal vantage point across the company. I'm not tied to any one particular brand. So we really look to build scalable solutions that are personalized enough for each of our given brands, but that we can roll out broadly. And AI and things like text-based channels and customer service bots are a way to accomplish that. So about a year and a half ago, we set out on this journey. First, we wanted to do a little bit of experimentation and understand what it was like to build a bot inside of Facebook Messenger. And then at the same time, we were undergoing a transformation. I'm sure many of you have talked about this at previous conferences and are undergoing the same transformation of being a predominantly call center to more of a digital contact center. How our agents service customers did not match our customers' preferences. So we decided to do in parallel, let's go learn a little bit more about bots and understand conversational AI, et cetera. But also let's really start to understand what type of channels customers would choose to receive customer service over. And how could we do that in the lightest weight experimental way? So folks were asking about how much budget do I dedicate to this? And we did simple things like this Contact Us screen on the left-hand side. We did a taller version of that had many text-based channels and telephony on the page, and we actually didn't build any of the experiences beneath them. We just did it to get signal. So we put that page out, we ran it for a certain period of time. Am I getting echo with the mics? 2 mics? We ran the Contact Us page for each of our B2C brands in different regions across the world to make sure we didn't get US biased information on desktop, on mobile. And what we found was, what we did was if we had a private message us via Facebook, if you tapped on it, it would just say features coming soon, and someone would pick a different channel to receive support on. And whatever they tapped on first was our signal. And we've since, as we've implemented these features, we now have Facebook private message as a way to contact us. We have direct message via Twitter. We've built our own chat system, et cetera. But it was a really quick and dirty way to get signal on how many people want to contact us, and the information was overwhelming. So let's just say we were at a very, very top majority of customer service contacts over phone, and we found that 40 to 80% of customer contacts wanted to be over a text-based channel, and many of them were over chat, some of them over social, SMS, et cetera. So it confirmed what we had seen in industry trends and what we thought ourselves, but it was kind of a wake-up call on we are making customers contact us the way we know how to run an operation. We are not meeting them in the channel of their choice. So we set out on to change that mix, and then we shipped 3 different Facebook Messenger bots, Travelocity, Hotels.com, and Expedia, and we did it in a way where we can easily scale up to more brands and more points of sale in the future. But the key here for us is if it's the same use case across multiple brands, we did it in a way where we can reuse that technology. So all of our brands sell hotels. We can pretty much plug and play that piece of technology. Only some of our brands do flights, et cetera. So what did we learn? So what I want you to walk away with today are 3 key learnings from building conversational AI, also known as natural language. Here's an obvious one, but the details matter. Many travelers who type, they just want to type. So when we experimented with Facebook Messenger, they have all these templates and buttons that you're supposed to use to design a user experience. So we kind of followed our classic menu-driven directed dialogue, IVR type experiences, and we had 3 choices at the beginning, and you tap your finger on one of the buttons to kick off that flow. So find a booking, or shop, receive customer support, or go straight to an agent. And what we found was over 40% of our travelers were actually typing anyway. Even though there were 3 choices on the screen, you told me this was a chat-based channel, they started chatting, so they would do simple things like type the value of the buttons that were there, and we never implemented that. So anything we didn't recognize, we would send you straight to a customer service agent. So for all these people who are seeing options, they're like, okay, find a booking. We're like, sorry, we can't help you, you have to get you to an agent. So it kind of defeated our purpose, which was how do we get to a world where more customers can self-serve? And then always having this, a key principle for our design is always having seamless contextual failover or handoff to an agent, because no bot is going to solve everyone's problems. We didn't want to set up a world where you come to our bot for things or you come to our agent. We do distinguish in the experience so you know when you're talking to a human or not. But we just made that silly design decision up front that if we put these buttons out there, folks were going to tap on them, and they didn't. So we scrambled to add the values of the buttons, so if folks type that, we recognize it. The other thing is people just started, just like in IVR, when you start mashing buttons, when you get frustrated with the long menu, they started just saying what their problem was or just trying to get through the initial menu. So that's where AI came in. And I want to make sure for the AI purists in the room, I don't think chatbots are absolutely 100% synonymous with AI. You can build a chatbot that's simple, linear, sounds like your IVR, has no AI whatsoever. But for the purpose of this conversation, I'm kind of using them interchangeably. So we basically said we need to start getting into AI for the classification of the intent, of trying to figure out what the customer's problem is and what they need help with. So you can actually walk up to our experience and type, I can't go on my trip. Nowhere did I say cancel, nowhere did I say hotel. We will get you into a service experience. We're just scratching the surface. We have a long ways to go, but we're starting to do AI around really understanding things like, I'm stranded at an airport. Okay, you probably want to change or cancel your flight. Just really try to get to a more natural conversation, because some of the challenges, and Dan and Christina talked about things like Alexa, a lot of the challenges with these devices today is they give you a certain grammar you have to follow, and if you don't say it exactly right, it doesn't work. And we wanted to avoid that. And same thing with IVRs, when it says, tell me what your problem is, and you say refund, or you say billing, and they only looked for refund, then they don't know how to handle your response. So it's really important for us to continually learn from the things that we have to hand over to agents because we don't recognize them. We have a full loop behind the scenes where we can turn that into and update our machine learning so that the next time someone asks, we can actually capture and say, I'm stranded at an airport actually means a flight cancel, and get them to the best part of our experience. So here's another one on Expedia. I covered that where I just said I can't go on my trip, and it brings up your upcoming trips with a cancel button, skips through the process of do you want to go shopping or service, et cetera. Next up, service bot conversations are multi-turn. What do I mean by this? A lot of the work today done in natural language and AI is really, well, at least the most popular consumer devices are really good at answering simple statement questions, where you ask it something, it gets you back an answer, you're done. You don't have ongoing conversations with a lot of them. And I'm making a generalization, but a lot of it is like, play this particular song in my living room, or what is the tallest building in the world? Those kind of questions. And they either can answer them or they can't, but it doesn't persist. So really, what I'm talking about today is chatbots, and that there is a big opportunity, like Christina said, to learn about AI and to deliver a good conversational experience in typing form, because people at least prefer that over telephony, while the voice side of the house actually gets more mature. We're there, Expedia has an Alexa skill, we're doing more customer service there, but until those devices prove that they can handle complex turn-by-turn conversations with them, like for example, if this says, this is me trying to shop for a hotel through a bot, and it goes back and forth. If you don't provide all the information up front in your initial statement, I can say I need a hotel tomorrow night for 2 nights in New York and 3 stars. If I knew to give it all the attributes in my first utterance, then it doesn't actually need to come back to me and get more information. But you'll see here, it goes back and forth to say, well, what dates, et cetera. So when it comes to e-commerce and complex multi-turn conversations, we do need to see more evolution in the industry around multi-turn conversations. Alexa's really good at reordering paper towels, or something you've bought in the past, or even some of the skills that have integrated with it, like Domino's. I want to reorder that same order I had three days ago. That's pretty straightforward, but when you're trying to buy expensive products with a lot of different attributes, we need to see more evolution there but we should be betting on it in the meantime. The direction is not wait, but we're not there yet in terms of full conversational AI. And here's another one. Does it have a jetted tub? It being a pronoun, what does it refer to? Even just keeping context from utterance to utterance to say, oh, this is the hotel you asked me about 5 questions earlier. So it can actually provide and say, no, it doesn't. And you can cancel, and you're actually canceling that hotel and not having to start through a tree again. And finally, context is key. So folks talked about this earlier. We in travel are sitting on top of a bunch of data. Some of it's hard to get access to because it's legacy systems, but we know so much about the traveler, their previous buying history. But more importantly, from my side of the house, we know a lot about their current trip. We know what products they purchased. We know at any given moment what trip stage they're at, where they're at in their trip, assuming all went well. They should be in Rome right now. They should be on their tour, et cetera. This is all intelligence that we need to bring forward into our AI. Our AI can't just be strictly a learning model. We have tons of hints we can give the system and have it evolve accordingly. For example, if you just canceled a trip a week ago with us, we know through our AI and our predictive algorithms that the likelihood of someone who canceled to call back and just ask the status of where's my refund, because you told me on the phone that I actually got a refund, but I'm not sure it's actually being processed. So we actually built a Domino's Pizza style refund tracker to know Expedia is still processing the refund, or we've handed it off to the bank. And in some cases, we have the bank transaction ID that we can give the customer so they could call their bank with the transaction ID. But we know that people call and follow up, and that's wasted time for the traveler first and foremost. But secondarily, every time we pick up the phone, there's a certain cost just to say, yep, we're working on it. We're processing your refund. It's approximately 7 to 10 days. We can't control when your bank puts it in your account, et cetera. So turning that into when the bot or any AI-based experience that you build, bots is just one of our first, leading with, hey, are you contacting us about that refund you're expecting? Like leading with intelligence and hints we have already, so it doesn't always feel like a cold start every time the traveler comes to your experiences. That's things we're looking at. Have you been unfortunately relocated by a hotel? Are you in some kind of exception state that needs to get solved? Is that the main reason you're contacting us? So we don't treat you as a brand new traveler with a brand new question every single time. So mixing in context that you have from your systems today, from travel, from what you've purchased in the past, are they a premium loyalty member? All of these are useful context to bring into your AI-based experiences. And now a little bit about the trip I was just on. So the reason I'm a little bit sunburned is I decided to go from pasty white Seattle and buy a Tesla and take my 2 kids on a long road trip down through California. We did Disneyland, Legoland, the Tesla factory, Universal Studios, San Diego Safari Park. It was just an epic thing. I actually pulled into the hotel like 7 a.m. yesterday after driving through the night. The one thing I learned when I was thinking about my presentation and these long drives was how Tesla handles AI with their family of features called autopilot. They have auto steer and they have auto lane change as their specific features. And I'm a techie, so I was playing with those features along the way. And I got the car, they delivered the car to me, I started my trip, and whenever I wanted to go right, do a lane change right, I would turn on the right blinker, and it's supposed to just look for the cars and then steer over. You can always take control of the car and make your way over to the right lane. It did that just fine. Whenever I wanted to change to the left lane, it wouldn't work, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, my car's broken, it's brand new, why isn't it going left? So I texted the service manager, and she says, your car's actually learning. So give it like another probably 50 to 100 miles, and it'll know more about your trip and the particulars of your car, your sensors, how they're calibrated, how you drive. And sure enough, my first leg was from Seattle to Portland. Before I got to Portland, I could all of a sudden start to do auto lane change to the left. So it's just an example of context and learning models that are working on the fly based on the context here being my particular car, how my sensors were set up and calibrated, how I drove, et cetera. And real time, I got to see AI at work. So that was pretty cool. And to wrap up, these are the 3 main learnings from building conversational UI. I would say they're 3 of N because we're learning something every day and we've only just scratched the surface on what we can do. Many travelers who type, they just want to type. So keep that in mind. You can have pretty UI elements, but expect the default where they're just going to sit there and continue to type. Service bot conversations are multi-turn. We have to see where the industry goes and where these technologies go around very detailed back and forth conversations for us to really bet the farm, both in shopping and customer service. And finally, context is key. We have a ton of context, a ton of data, and we can really personalize the experience, bringing that together with AI instead of keeping these things, thinking about personalized experiences over here and AI over there. We have to bring these together to really build effortless experiences for our customers. And with that.
So the first question is, in your 3 takeaways, one is people just like to text. Well, certainly that is customer behavior, learned behavior that we now have. However, we heard a lot about voice coming on board. Mm-hmm. So how much are we investing now in the texting part of bots, or will it be for the foreseeable future, or should be switching over to, or even leapfrogging over from text to voice, or no, you got to do both, or just text for the time being?
I think we need to think about it this way. Telephony is not going anywhere. In terms of, it's not like overnight we're all going to say we no longer handle phone calls. So therefore, text-based channels, we're all at different levels. Like I'm in a very large OTA, and I'm admitting that we're we're a couple years into a transformation to support at least text and then also voice. And I think that the difference here is when you think about text, it's really about the captivity of a phone call, like having to plan your day around, I know I'm speaking to the choir, but having to plan your day around making a call, going through an IVR, expecting to sit in some kind of queue. Like I can't even do that during the workday, and most things I can't do at night. So it's really, what text gives you is that asynchronous nature. Like even with the way we've designed our new chat system, we're gonna get to the point where you don't need to be in a chat room with an agent. It just looks like Facebook Messenger. You're going into a meeting, you're like, hey, can you help me cancel my flight tomorrow? You go into the meeting for 2 hours, you come out, there's a response from the agent. You don't actually need to be present with them. So I think there's tons of innovation just in the text-based space. The second thing is, our philosophy is text is text is text, and a voice conversation actually just gets boiled down to text under the covers, in that you're just, all Alexa's really doing for an app developer is taking in voice and converting it to text that the app can use. So if you think about that mentality, there's nothing I showed today that isn't already in motion at Expedia or couldn't easily be turned into voice-based conversations, voice bots. So I focused on chatbots because that's what we've primarily shipped, but we've built our platform in a way that we are absolutely ready for trying different voice experiences. So I would say my recommendation is don't skip text to get to voice for some of the reasons I mentioned around complex conversations and stuff being a little bit lacking with the technology. And you're going to get the majority of your customer base moving them off of the traditional phone lines. You're going to have a lot of period of time with them moving off of them email, because a short chat that's async, very different than an email conversation. So long-winded way of saying I would still invest in text-based channels, just don't punt on voice.
And lastly, so for some of the folks in here, customer care, in addition to being customer care, is an opportunity to do an upsell or some sort of cross-sell at that point. If something comes in via text and you want to have more of the touch points that can be explained perhaps better or easier, or you have better close rates, quite frankly, converting them over to a conversation, is that annoying to the customer? Do they want that call? Will they be upset if they've started the conversation with brand in text and all of a sudden they get a call back?
So how many folks are familiar with the book Effortless Experience? Wow, I really think everyone should go pick up a copy. It's kind of given me my translation layer from coming from Microsoft into Expedia, where, like I said, I mostly designed around simple and elegant experiences where I was trying, I didn't have the vocabulary, but trying to reduce a customer's effort. That book gives you the vocabulary to say, our number one job should be getting stuff out of the way, obstacles of someone who has a customer service moment with us. So one of their biggest principles is very little to no channel switches. So if you have them in text, making them pick up the phone, there's probably a reason they texted you in the first place. They're not accessible. They're in another country where they don't have their SIM enabled. They're at work, et cetera. So I don't think it's taboo. I think you should really break up your experiences, though, if it's a customer service moment and then there's something you want to finish on the phone, making it so that you're not holding back the goods, which was literally trying to get their customer service issue taken care of. But I think you can do it in interesting ways where you could, if you have to call.
Well, Jay, I think your insights and your advice to us are invaluable. Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody, if you could help me thank Jay.